You are now listening to Failing Adds Up with your co-hosts George Jr. Ibarra and Antonio Romero. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to another episode of the Failing Adds Up podcast. My name is Antonio Romero, and alongside with me, as always, we got
Junior Ibarra. What's up, everybody?
What's going on? What's going on, Junior? We're back at it. Another week, another episode.
That's right. Yeah, another exciting episode. And again, super excited about this guest. And man, just having every day I say this, or I think every episode I say this, it's just a lot of fun. This is definitely a passion project. So having lots of fun with you. So bump fists to that because now we got video too. What's up, everybody?
Let's go. Yeah, so you guys saw our last podcast that was done with video with Tafiq Shah there, Lola's and Fine Hot Sauce, which that was cool to do that video with actually testing the hot sauces.
Oh, yeah. He even brought some hot sauce to be able to test out, and they were all really good. And he even brought his most premier one, which he made us test it on the spot, and we had never tested it. And man, that one hit me. So I think you'll see on the video my face turn all red and everything. So, but it was really good, and it hits you real good too.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like what more like flavors and hot sauces he keeps like producing and stuff. So it would be cool to keep testing them out.
Yeah, for sure. And with that said, man, I'm excited to interview this guest. I've known him for some time. It's a lot of good history with him, and now a good businessman. But one of my fondest memories of him is playing soccer, just seeing, he's younger than me, but remembering seeing him, and he was just beating all these adults at soccer, and so he's always had this amazing competitive spirit, doing a lot of amazing things in the soccer community and also just building massive businesses. And so we're excited to get to know Jaime Levia. What's up, Jaime?
Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you for the invite. I'm happy to be here. Happy to share a little bit about my story.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to get into because you do have your hands in lots of different buckets and jars. So super excited to kind of hear your upbringing, hear your story, everything leading up to those points. So let's just kick it off with that. Let's start from the beginning. Where are you from?
Yeah, born in Armenia, Sonsonate, El Salvador. We moved to the capital city, San Salvador, when I was about, I would say, 4 or 5 years old. My dad had been a military veteran, is a military veteran. And they, at that time, they gave all the military veterans a grant to build their house. So he decided to build a house in San Salvador, and that's where we ended up moving to. So I grew up in San Salvador until I was about 10 years old. My parents were already living in the States at that time.
So were you just staying with like family and stuff?
Yeah, my great-grandmother was taking care of us, my brothers and I. My dad moved here in 98, my mom moved here in 99, and I came in 2002. So, yeah, it was very fond memories of my childhood, playing lots of soccer all the time, and yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing remembering those times because it takes me back to where everything started, and it's just awesome to think about those moments.
So let's talk a little bit about that because I know we have had our guests in the past too. Like, for example, we had Javier Valdez on here, right, where he said, like, basketball, the reason he got into it is because the basketball courts were just right outside his house, and that was kind of really the only thing he can go towards. If he didn't get into basketball, then he might have gone down, the bad route or something like that, the different path. So was soccer like that for you as well, where it was like you kind of needed it to stay away from certain things?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about early 1990s, early 2000s, and El Salvador, one of the murder capitals of the world at that time. Gangs were growing. MS-13, 18th Street Gang were growing like weeds in the country, and everyone was getting recruited for that. So definitely soccer kept us away from the trouble. We were not too far away from one of the worst communities in the country, and we saw I mean, as a little kid, I saw a lot of this violence myself, and that kind of made me. That was part of who I am, you know, as well. Just seeing those things and being exposed to that kind of woke me up at an early age. I like to tell people that, you know, I lost my innocence from those things pretty early. So by the time I moved here, I was already pretty woke, if you want to use that word, when it comes to that type of thing. So, but yeah, soccer was a big reason why we stayed out of trouble.
So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that one of the motivating factors of why your parents moved to the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, just economic opportunity to provide a better future for the family. And yeah, part of it was violence with the country. I think my dad was very smart. He's always been a smart man, and I think he was foreseeing that it was going to get worse than it was, because in the years to come, it got so bad that you couldn't own a business, you couldn't do many things. You know, thankfully now we have a great president who's turned the country around quite a bit, and we have a lot of people that are actually moving back now because things have turned around quite a bit.
That's cool. I didn't know that, like, it's made a turn, you know. So
yes, big time. So from I think 2019 was when Nayib Bukele took over the presidency. Young guy, studied here a few years, so more globalized mindset. He completely turned around the country. Right now, I think they estimated about 90,000 gang members. 65 have been imprisoned and counting. So
is that, correct me, is that where they built that really, really big prison like not too long ago?
Yeah, it's the biggest. Yeah, it's the biggest prison in Central America. I think the capacity, I don't know what they said, 15,000 maybe capacity, but it's going to be special. It's especially for the
like gang members, right? Yeah, because I remember seeing that on TikTok. Like when they first built it, I remember seeing like all the videos of this brand new big prison where they like just, it looked like they looked like cattle almost. Like they were just escorting them into the rooms or the cells and all that.
Yeah. So I mean, the country's totally different now. People are traveling down there, no problem. People are going into communities that no one had ever been to in years because you couldn't go. You couldn't go anywhere outside your zone. If you lived in an area where, for example, MS-13 was in charge of, you couldn't go to the 18th Street community because you were risking getting killed just from being part of.
Just because you were from the other territory, right?
Yeah. So it was all marked by territories, and even the worst areas in the country now, people are free to go and visit their family members that some people hadn't seen in years. So wow. It's amazing.
So it was affecting that many people that they couldn't even see their cousin across the street.
Potentially, yes. I mean, you would have to find ways to get creative to see some family members if they lived in the wrong territory or the opposite territory. But now, yeah, the country's booming. The economic of the country is booming like crazy. A lot of people are investing in it. Our tourist areas are growing like crazy. It's a beautiful country. It was just unexploited because the violence had completely shut it down.
Wow, that's cool. So then, like, you know, so your family left for that to protect their family and their future legacy. So why Iowa, or how Iowa? Like, how did Iowa get thrown into the mix?
Yeah, I think that one of my uncles was already living here, and he talked to my dad, and they just made the connection, and that's how. I'm not sure how he ended up in Iowa, but that's how we ended up in Iowa, and we've been here since.
Yeah. So when did you say your dad got here?
My dad got here in 98.
98, and then you got here in 2010.
2002.
So how old were you
okay.
at that time?
10 years old.
You were 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
cool.
And you came straight to Des Moines?
Yeah, came straight to Des Moines. I can jump into the story if you want. If you
like
mind.
what? That's what I was curious about. Like, what do you start remembering from as soon as you get here? Like,
so I'll take you back to the journey.
Yeah, I was gonna say do you remember? Because you were still at an age you could remember things, right?
Yeah.
So
I was 10 years old. My uncle and my padrino, my godfather, were coming with me. They were gonna make the trip, and we did it. we did it the old-fashioned way, right? With a coyote, my parents paid someone to bring me here, and turns out that my cousin and my godfather got caught in Guatemala or entering into Mexico, because you got to remember that we have to go through Guatemala, Mexico before we come here.
And just to go through Mexico, like how long does that take? Days, right?
Well, and it depends, you know. If you have a smooth ride, if you could make it happen quicker. For me, it was a lot longer. So after my cousin and my godfather were, I think it happened in Guatemala. Then I was assigned to someone specifically because I was just a little boy, right? And that person took me all the way to Veracruz. And one day, the person in charge went to get groceries. Well, he never returned. So I was, at 10 years old, stuck in the middle of Veracruz. So I ended up staying in Veracruz for 3 months.
So were you just like in a random house? Or?
Yeah, we were staying at, there was a group of people staying at this random house, but no one that I knew. And I've always had this personality that I can get along with everyone, and I'm always very positive about the situations, and I molded very fast to that household, and I became friends with they had a daughter, so we became very good friends until we kind of figured out the game plan of how I was going to get out of there. I just remember being in Veracruz. I remember eating the food. I remember they took me to the circus. We went swimming. Like,
so you were on vacation.
I was on vacation, but like, imagine my parents. The thought process for them. Their 10-year-old son is in the middle of Mexico. What's going on? What's gonna happen?
And with who?
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long were you there?
About I would say it was roughly 2 months. I believe is how long I was there. So eventually we made a game plan. And that game plan was simple, just a bus ride to Sonora. And in Sonora, I got connected with someone that was going to bring me over. And yeah, I can say that I crossed half of Mexico as a 10-year-old by myself.
I'm very curious about this. So like, what was your thought process when you were going through that? Like, did they just tell you, hey, you're going to go see your parents?
Yeah, my only goal was to get to my family. I hadn't seen my parents for a while. I miss my parents. My only goal was...
Did you understand it, though?
I didn't comprehend the risk of what was happening. I tell this story all the time that I was in the terminal in Chihuahua. And this was the time when I don't know if you guys were familiar, but there was a bunch of rapings going on. Women were getting raped and murdered in Chihuahua. And I was in the terminal. And I remember playing maquinitas,
like slots almost.
Yeah,
right?
little slot machine. And when I look back at that, I just imagine myself in that moment not realizing the danger that I was in. And yeah, so it's a pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting to think about that.
Shoot, I would call that intense to think about, like. Yeah, that's the innocence of a child, just like, hey, I'm interested in playing video games right now, not necessarily what's going on and around me, right? So, man, like talking about this out loud or since then, like, what's the conversation as an adult? I'm curious, like maybe flash forwarding a little bit, but you caught my curiosity. Like, what's that conversation that you had later in life as an adult, or knowing, comprehending what you went through with your parents?
Yeah, so we went through this. So I get it, I can see how some people would be, would question that thought process. Like I get that, but from my perspective, it's after talking to them, I knew what their intent was, and things didn't go as planned, and my dad tried to create a game plan as quickly as he could. Mm-hmm. And thankfully everything turned out okay, but things may have not turned out okay. So, I think it's all good. I understand what they were trying to do, and they were they were at church all the time during those days praying, and they were suffering, and they were worried. And
did you have any communication with them at that time?
Yeah, all the time.
Just
it was continuous communication. Yeah, and I think one thing that helped was that ability, just growing up in in the streets per se, I had acquired certain skills that a normal 10-year-old wouldn't have.
Right.
Is it
You can handle it, like handle your own.
Yeah, my mindset was a little bit different. I was a little bit more. I could get myself out of situations, and I have countless examples of having to do that in Mexico, because you have to be on your toes, and I think that helped too, and my dad knew that. But I mean, it's a tough situation because they were not in a place to go down there and get me.
Yeah, I mean, you had the street smarts, right? Like as we like to call it, in order to maneuver your way and get stuff done, get shit done.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So then after that, Sonora, and then what?
Sonora, we Brownsville, Texas, I believe. Phoenix to Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in total, this journey took you how long again? Because you were 2 months in Mexico.
I would say about. I think the rest of it was only like 20 more days, so it was. I believe it ended up being less than 3 months.
Okay. And then, like, have you ever, like, because I've always wanted to do this, because we kind of have a similar story as to how my family got there here, and I've always wanted to, and I haven't. So I'm curious, have you ever reconnected with those people that helped you along the way? Like even that family, for
I would
example,
love
the
to.
2 months?
Yeah, I would love to. But I haven't really. I don't think I have the way to find out.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we have the phone numbers.
Yeah.
I know it was Jaltipan, Veracruz, but
Yeah.
you know how many homes are.
Yeah.
The only thing I know is that the owner of the home, the dad, was a professional yo-yo. Yo-yo guy, and he was never home, and he was on TV and stuff. So the home we were staying in,
Maybe you can find him like that.
Maybe I'll try. Yeah. Yeah. So it was a really nice home. It was.
So did you learn any yo-yo skills while you were there?
I didn't get to see him.
Okay.
Yeah.
There. Okay. So then you're here in Des Moines, Iowa. So what do you remember from kind of your first couple months here, and what starts happening there?
I got here when it was the Korea-Japan World Cup 2002. So my parents were working janitorial jobs. They were working cleaning jobs. So they would get home like at 2 a.m. and it was in Asia. So the game times were like midnight to 2 a.m. So my dad would get home and I would be watching the World Cup that whole summer that I spent watching the World Cup, sleeping till really late. I got to enjoy the summer quite a bit. I didn't have to go to school right away. So I had that, I would call that a little bit of a transition summer before going to school. And then in the fall, I started school. And that was kind of, that was tough.
Especially because you probably didn't know English, right?
Yeah, I didn't speak English. And not only that, but the Hispanic kids in the school, instead of helping me, were kind of making fun of me. I don't know if it had anything to do with being from a different country or what exactly it was, but they would make fun of me for not speaking English, and then that they for those of you that know me, my mindset is you want to put me down, you want to make fun of me, I'll prove you wrong. So that motivated me to learn English.
So you know where I'm from?
Yeah. You know where I come from? Yeah. So I mean, I wanted to be out of the ESL program within a year. That was my goal. And
which is English second language.
English
right?
is a second language. Yeah.
It's a class specifically tailored for people who English is their second language and they're still learning it, right? For some of those viewers who might not know.
Yeah, and the way I saw it was, I need to get out of here as soon as possible because this is holding me back. I looked at the environment. I looked at the kids were messing around all the time, that it was just a for fun class. I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to progress. So my goal was 1 year. It took me about a year and a half, and then I remember exactly because I was at Weeks Middle School by then, and I remember the first day of classes, all my friends went left and I turned right to the other class, and that was kind of a symbolic moment for me because I was looking forward to that. Not that I didn't want to be with my friends, but just I thought that if I was in the class with everyone, with all the other kids, I was gonna learn faster.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. So then, Weeks Middle School, you're now no longer in ESL. Like, do you get in involved with soccer or with like what's happening with the rest of your family too? Like you're now kind of getting more intermixed with the school community and what's happening with your family here in Des Moines.
Yeah. So at that point, I had, well, one day I was playing at soccer and PE, and the teacher happened to be a Des Moines Menace soccer academy coach, so he invited me to go play at the Menace. So I started playing there. Ended up playing there pretty much my whole career until my last year. I ended up playing with West Des Moines Soccer Club. Yeah, my parents continued to work, and my dad had then, I think, moved into a more construction, landscaping, irrigation type of job. And my mom then got a job in Perry in one of those
Like meat packing?
Yeah, meat packing plant, and she worked there for several years. But yeah, that was the center of my teenage years, was playing at the Menace, going to Weeks Middle School, and then Lincoln Heights.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have 2 brothers. One lives here in town, Jose, and my other brother Javier lives in New Jersey.
Younger or older?
They're both older than me.
Older.
Yep, and then I have another brother that passed away in El Salvador. Yep.
Okay, so then your parents are kind of more in that manufacturing role in construction, and then you start finding rhythm in soccer. So like, what are some of maybe the biggest highlights or high points and low points maybe throughout middle school and high school from what you recall about your life?
Yeah, so this is a good segue into why I started UFA. Growing up, and I'm not blaming anyone by any means, because I made my own decisions growing up, but I didn't really have good role models around me. I didn't really have people that were around me that were telling me to do the right things. You know, everyone cheers for you. Everyone wants you to do good things, but it's different when people actually take purposeful actions to help you. And I didn't really have that, so I started getting distracted with the wrong things. You know, I started skipping class. Grades weren't the greatest in high school. Life wasn't going in the right direction, and I really didn't have goals. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I know that my parents wanted me to go to college, but all of our parents want us to go to college, and a lot of people in our community don't understand the process of applying to a college and all that good stuff. So that's what my teenage years were playing soccer, trying to get the best grades I could while skipping as many classes as I could. You know, it got pretty ridiculous at some point, how much I was skipping class. And then I got a golden opportunity to play soccer at Iowa Central Community College. I got a phone call from a former coach, Brandon Ermos, and that gave me an opportunity at the next level, which I never expected to have, because I don't feel like I deserved it enough, because I wasn't disciplined enough in my teenage years.
Are you talking about in general as a person? Or are you talking on the soccer side? As far as being disciplined?
When we talk about college recruiting nowadays to kids, it's 3 things. You know, coaches want to see that you're a good person, that you're a good student, and lastly, they look that you're a good
player.
Good player. I wasn't a good student, or I wasn't a good student. So in that sense, things weren't going very good for me. But I got that shot, and I took advantage of that opportunity.
And how did that kind of shape your life from there?
I think that all the mistakes, all the struggles, everything that I've lived have helped me become the person I am now, with the mentality that I have. If it wasn't for all those things, I feel like I would be a weaker-minded person, and a lot of the struggles that I've been through, just I wouldn't have gone through any of them It's just I believe that we don't learn if we don't go through struggles. That's why I love the concept of what you guys are doing, is because I haven't met a successful person that didn't struggle and fought through that. That's just part of the process.
Yeah. So then you have this mental idea that maybe I didn't deserve that chance yet. You got it. What did you learn about yourself, like when you got that opportunity to go to college and capitalize on that opportunity?
I was very grateful, and I knew that if I didn't change my mindset, that I was going to end up the same way I did in high school. Growing up, all the people would be thought that I was this amazing player. So a lot of people would think that I was going to be a soccer superstar, right? But the reality is that Iowa soccer is getting better, but the top players in Iowa are not the top players, and at the regional level. The country, it's there are levels to it. So, a lot of people thought that I was going to do well in soccer, and I kind of made that my priority. And when things didn't start going, when things started going bad in the soccer front, because it was so engraved in my identity, that's when things started to go downhill. So me getting an opportunity at the next level, it was awakening me to do better, so that I wouldn't fall back into the same thing that I did in high school.
So when did you realize that maybe soccer wasn't going to be like the rest of your life as far as like being the number one income, right? Like, because like you said, it was like your identity, like everyone's like, you're so good that this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And it's going to maybe provide the income you need to live like that. Like, is that kind of what you're like, you realize that wasn't going to be the thing for the rest of your life? Like, when did you realize that, and then what kind of choices did you start making? I'm curious.
Yeah, I knew that pretty early. I mean, as soon as I remember playing ODP, it's the Olympic Development Program, and I went to the regional camp, and I just remember seeing the kids. They were taller, they were better, they were stronger, they were smarter than me as a player. And pretty soon I knew, okay, I'm not gonna make it here, because if in the Midwest there are already 80 better players than me, at the national level, I'm not gonna keep up. So pretty soon I learned that I wasn't gonna make it in soccer, but I knew that it was gonna provide opportunities potentially through college soccer. And then it's plan B, and it's that panic for me it was a panic of the 18 through 22 time frame of what am I gonna do with my life, kind of finding yourself and figuring out what I want to do for the future in it. And some people find it early, some people don't, but for me, my passion has become making an impact in the youth in our community, and that's why UFA is such a priority in my life.
Yet after college, I mean, UFA didn't start right after college, right? Like
no, it didn't.
So what happened? So like, can you kind of close that gap for us, right? Like you talk about the passion of why that started and why you love doing it. Yet how did this it all starts up here with an idea. How did it actually come into fruition? Like, can you walk us through that? Like, what happened? I assume it was after college, or did it start in college? Like, or when did this all come into life? Yeah,
so it was, I think, the year after I graduated from AIB college, and at that point I was working at Marsh and McLennan Companies, Mercer Marketplace. I was employee benefits, doing life and health insurance, and in the afternoons I would go play at the Ridge. I don't know if you guys have been on the south side.
Oh yeah.
Little spot there. So I would go play there, talk to kids, a bunch of kids that played for the club that I had played on, and I would ask them questions. I would say, hey, how's school going? How's soccer going? Soccer, great. School, not so great. Is your coach talking to you about these things? No. I have no idea. Some of them had dropped out of high school. So at that point, I decided that we needed a program that would bridge the gap between academics and sports. And that's how the idea of UFA started. And, we started with the little ones in 2017 with about 32 kids. Fast forward to now, we're about close to 500 and some families.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were those early years of making it actually come to life? What were the failures and the tribulations, and what did it take? Because I know there's actually like having this idea and making it come to life. There's also the reality of some of the business hurdles, political hurdles, maybe other entities that are in that same industry where you have to like go through some of that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Running a soccer club is not just, can we get out there and kick a ball? There's so much to it that, you have to.
But you also have the academic piece that a lot of soccer clubs don't. That's missing, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, we're still working on that piece. Like, it's still a work in progress, but we have had some success already, and we're looking to build on that. But the beginning was tough. I didn't know how to coach. I was out there trying to start this new thing, and we were watching YouTube videos, seeing potential drills, and I didn't know what I know now about coaching, that it's not just about the drills. It's not about what you know. Is how can you teach kids? How can you motivate kids? How can you teach different personalities?
But even then, like, I'm curious, like, even bringing it down even smaller, how do you even go from 0 to 32? You said you had 32 in that first year, right?
Yeah.
Like, how were you just going out on promoting it with friends, family, or how did you get to even getting
part of
people
it
to
was
sign up?
part of it was family, social media. We were posting on Facebook, and I put a poster up in my parents' restaurant, and we ended up with 32, 34 kids at that point, and it just grew from word of mouth. But yeah, we didn't have the platforms that we have now, a website and a CRM and all that stuff. We did, it was the very, very beginning of it, and I'm humbled to think about where we started, where we are, and kind of where we're headed as well. But we struggled quite a bit. In the beginning, no one was really paying attention to us as far as the other
competitors, other clubs, right?
Yeah, no one saw us as a competitor at that point. I don't think they saw potential in it. But when it started growing, then we started seeing a little bit of pushback from other clubs and them taking action on doing some things to prevent us from growing and from getting to where we are now. And we still continue those battles. I mean, those battles are ongoing because we are competing. They see it some people see it that we're competing for the same talent. To us, it's not about that. It's about how many kids we can impact. And, any kids that want to play for us, we will try to impact them positively. Any kids that want to play elsewhere, we've had kids go to other programs that are in our community, and I continue to stay in touch with them, and I continue to offer them myself as a resource. So it's not about, we're not so territorial. We want to help as many kids as we can, regardless of where they play. But when you other clubs that are running a business, and they're not going to say that. They're not going to say they're running a business, but when they're running a business, it's different. That you have to be more territorial, because if you lose a certain amount of players or families, then you lose that income, and things change. So it's on that sense, we've kind of evolved into more of a threat to the competitors. And now when you look at our teams, we're a lot more diverse now. So we're getting a lot of the suburb kids are starting to come over to our club, and now we're becoming a big threat, because our goal is to be one of the top 3 in our area, and we have a long ways to go, but we're heading in that direction.
And with UFA, are you trying to keep it an Iowa thing, or is that the goal to eventually keep expanding more and more to other states?
No, we'll keep it local. We're embedded into this community. We know our community. I wouldn't see ourselves going anywhere else. We have a chapter or affiliate in Sioux City, Iowa, and so yeah, they're bordering with
Nebraska.
Nebraska and South Dakota. So they're in the tri-state area. So we are supporting there, and we will support them to grow as much as they want. But I don't see us going outside of the area, just because we've got so much work to do here that we have to get it right here, and see how many kids we can impact in our community.
Well, speaking of that, I'll go play pickup soccer, and I'll see kids with the UFA jerseys and shirts. So it's cool to see it like over the years keep growing and growing. And I played at Sporting Iowa growing up, so UFA back then wasn't even a thing. But
yeah,
it's crazy how in like the matter of a few years, how much of an impact you guys actually have made on the community, and how quickly you've grown.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've grown. We've graduated 2 classes, and we've been able to place 10 kids at the next level. Wow. So
super cool.
Yeah, the goal was to get one. Can we replicate one? Can we replicate my story and get one person in there? So we're at 10, and we've got so many more age groups coming up. So.
Do you know like what those numbers look like, at least here locally, like across other clubs, of graduating them and then getting them into that next level?
Here's what I'll say. The bigger clubs in the area, their numbers will destroy our numbers. But the kids in our community that were playing for those clubs, they weren't getting these shots. So we changed that. We changed that because the kids that are staying with us, they're getting to play at the next level because we're supporting them in a way that only we know how to support them. In other communities, they're not going to get that support because they're not going to understand what the struggles are of, an immigrant family or a second-generation immigrant. So does that make sense? Like the Hispanic kids that were...
Yeah, it's the experience, your personal experience that you have with it. There's certain things that as a Hispanic or as an immigrant you've maybe dealt with that someone else just might not deal with it because it doesn't fit into their situation.
Correct. It's a different setup, and we've seen that. We saw generation after generation of kids, very talented soccer players that graduated from high school, didn't play at the next level, that were part of teams that were regional champions, that were state champions. They were competing at the regional level. They were competing at a very high level. Should have got that shot. They didn't. But the kids in our program, they're getting those shots. So that's the difference. So our numbers will not be parallel because our numbers are much lower as far as membership. But what our intent and our goal is being fulfilled.
No, yeah, that's cool. So then, like, 32 to 500, like, what were some of the biggest challenges that you remember in climbing to that, like getting from 32 literally to over 500?
We grew too fast, and it really takes a team of people to do things the right way. And we're still figuring things out. Like, as we speak, we still have so many things to improve. So the biggest struggle was for me trying to do it all myself and learning to
let go of the control.
Yes, exactly. And I think that every person that has become successful has gone through that struggle of, this is my baby, but it's okay if this person does this and this person does this. And when I learned that, that's when the program started blooming more. Because I used to want to have control of everything, and it's not necessary to be successful. Sometimes you can bring people that are more skillful than you are in certain areas that will help you improve a lot faster.
And I know. I mean, you've even spoken about this too, right? Like letting it mold into ways that you didn't even think it could. Like you specifically have told me, like, we never thought that we were going to have this division of Ibarra Realty Group of IRG, but since we've had that talent that is there, we've been able to mold with them into that, right?
Yeah, it's it's you have the visionary, right? Like you have a vision, and that it still can take so many shapes, right? You at least know you want to head to a certain direction. You end up meeting people and talent, right? Like that you need to rely on to help you grow that vision. Otherwise, you're going to stay stagnant. And if you're not growing, you're dying, as I like to say, right? And so, yet when you find that talent, like you said earlier, like sometimes that talent's even better at doing something than you and this side of the equation. And so then you're like, I really want to keep this talent. So you mold around that talent. Like, how does their vision align with our vision, and how do we grow together, right? Like, I guess that's how I've treated it in the business world, right?
Yeah. And although we're not a business, we have to treat it as such, as far as some, the systems and processes. So, yeah, it's been great to see the involvement of new people and allowing other people to make decisions too. We recently brought a great individual to our program, Ozzy White. He has years.
I was gonna say, it sounds very familiar. I think he was at Sporting before, right?
Yes. So I think he was one of the original people that were at Sporting Iowa, and Sporting Iowa used to be West Des Moines Soccer Club, and that's actually, I ended up playing a year there before they were Sporting Iowa. So yeah, Ozzy was there. He has a ton of experience coaching, and he's brought a whole different perspective to UFA. And I think that for me, it's been amazing to kind of hand him where we're at right now, the program where it's at right now, and seeing where he's gonna take it to. And I'm just learning from him and supporting him now more than anything. So it's pretty cool to bring someone like that has been there, done that, and will be able to take it to the next level.
Awesome. So then, knowing, now where you're at and as big as you are and competing with the best of the best, like what do you see? What's next? What are you going after?
The big goal with UFA initially was to place kids at the collegiate level, but I think that has molded a little bit. And we want to use the program to really impact the socioeconomic footprint of our community. And how can we do that? Well, one is by education. If we're helping kids go to college, they're getting better education, they're going to end up making more money. That's one. But the other one is, how can we provide resources and educate the community when it comes to application for colleges, financial education, different things. So there's a lot of things that we are going to move towards in the next 3 to 5 years, where we're going to get more embedded into the community and start providing more resources outside of soccer, stuff that has nothing to do with soccer, but we want to make that impact. We want to help educate the community, because as you know, you guys are in the financial industry. Well, there's a lot of education that we need, that our families need, that we didn't have, that we were able to acquire a little bit of, or a lot of, and we want to give that. We want to use UFA as a vehicle to do that. So that's where we're headed.
How do you envision that happening? So, like, I guess for me, like Antonio said, I see UFA just everywhere now, like T-shirts, logos, social media, in the news, and so yet I still think of UFA like soccer, right? So
Yeah.
So you're talking like a whole nother realm of education, so how do you envision that actually happening? Is it through buildings? Is it through the current, public school infrastructure, private school? How do you see that actually coming to life?
It won't be a mass education, because we are a soccer program at the end of the day. So it's primarily through the families that are part of our program.
Okay.
And right now we have 500 families. So if we can help 300 out of those families get educated and get financially educated, then we're looking at a much different landscape here in 10 years. And if we can replicate that throughout a period of 15 years, that's the way we see it. Not necessarily going out of our expertise per se. We want to stay with, but we want to use the club and the membership and the community and the family that we built, and we want to give these families more resources through partnerships and through different ways, so that we can make that impact in the community. And I think that automatically when we do that, then that makes our program more financially sustainable. It makes everything just better, because our program will survive for generations, because those families will get back from just in the future.
And this is just me thinking out loud, because you got my wheels churning. Because in today's world, like, technology is something you can leverage. And I know, like, I hear it from my own family members and just a lot of people in the community, how much you actually help families that don't have money be able to participate in UFA. So, like, could you tie that eventually to, like, for those that are getting scholarships to participate, because they're the ones that maybe might need more of that educational component, right, through their family infrastructure, is like, in order for your son or daughter to play and get this scholarship, you have to watch these 3 financial educational videos through our app and fill out this, quiz. And it's like you're giving the parents homework, or even the kids homework, to, like, take them to that level of education that you want to put out there. I don't know. So
that's a great idea. That's a great idea, because not only are we, what's that quote about teach a man how to fish?
Oh yeah. It's like teach them. You don't teach a man how to. I don't know.
Don't give him a fish. You got to teach a man how to fish, right? Something along those lines. So this otherwise, if you just give him fish, then they could starve to death.
Right. So the idea is great, because you're helping them in the short term, but you're also giving them resources to where they may not need this assistance in 2 years, because they're in a much better place after getting a little bit of education. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah. That's super cool. No, I know you have a huge heart for the community, so you're doing amazing things. And so, like, how can, like, kind of putting yourself out there, how can, like, people in the community help you deliver on this mission, just kind of putting it out there?
Just spread the word about UFA, and we've got a little project that we're working on, and that's when we're really gonna need the backing of our community. Our kids need a home. Our kids need a soccer complex, and we are having conversations for a potential partnership there, and we will go after. We want the full support of the community when the time comes, because if everyone does support, we'll be able to make this happen easy. So just keep an eye out for us on social media. Keep an eye out for the kids. If you see them out there, give them opportunities, and that's the biggest thing.
So, like, going a little bit back in time here. So you're executive director of UFA. Mm-hmm. You're also coach of UFA, right?
Yes.
So how many age groups do you coach, or is it just one?
I'm coaching 2 teams. I'm only gonna be coaching 1 team in the fall. So I'm rolling back a little bit. I as my kids are starting to grow, I need to spend more time with them and with my family. So I'm gonna be coaching less. I'm a little bit less involved in UFA, because I also gotta have another business that I need to focus on as well. But yeah, my coaching commitments have been decreasing over the past 2 years, and it's coming to the point where I'm only gonna be coaching 1 team. So.
And that's kind of where I was transitioning into next, is, like, again, going back to, you have your hands in so many different areas. The coaching, UFA stuff, the business side behind of it, all that. But then also your other personal business that you have running, right? That just also wanted to talk about that, of how that came to be.
Yeah. So I was put in a position to start my own business, my own insurance agency this year. I had been doing insurance. I have been doing insurance for 7 years now, and this year was the time to really make that happen. And again, going through that same process that I've gone through my whole life, right? You start from here, and then you take the steps and see how far you can get, and working hard, building that business, and it's exciting. I'm so stoked to see how far we can make that grow, and how big of an impact we can make in the community through insurance, through an insurance agency. So
what is driving you to do all this with the UFA stuff, with the insurance agency?
I still haven't figured it out. I don't know what God has in store for me. UFA to me is I just do it because it fulfills me. As far as the business goes, the reason I went into insurance was because I thought that it was the competition or the people providing those services weren't catering to our community in the way that I think it's the right way, which is education. I am big on educating the clients on the products that they purchase, and on the commercial side, there was a lot of miscommunications, misunderstandings of people with their insurance products when it comes to commercial insurance. Workers' comp insurance is a very complicated type of policies, type of insurance. If business owners don't understand these things properly, they could get into interesting situations. So that's what drives me. I saw very early in my career, I saw a lot of horror stories. I heard a lot of horror stories, and that motivated me to continue working with more and more businesses, because I want to I don't want to take business away from anyone. I want to help people be in a place where they're protected the right way.
That's cool. So then, what do you envision? It sounds like you've got two parallels going with your UFA and then your insurance business. Do they overlap in any way? I'm curious.
I have been very intentional about not overlapping them, because I don't want people to think that my motives are not money. My motive is not money. I think most people have figured that out by now. But I've never used the UFA database to market my insurance. Is there organic opportunities? Of course,
right?
Of course. And again, like, that goes back to something I always say is, if you provide value to your community will provide value back to you. So they overlap in that sense, like organic leads that come because people see that I'm also an insurance agent. But you'd be surprised how many people don't know that I'm an insurance agent. Most people see me as the guy that leads UFA,
right?
Which I'm okay with that. Business isn't bad, and I think business will come when it's time.
I also wanted to kind of dive deep into this next topic here of, like, because I know we do have other entrepreneurs. We have our listeners, our viewers here. How do you even structure out your schedule to be able to do all these things on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, this year was a reset year for me. The way I see it, I was not in a very good place last year because I had too many things going on, and my forte has never been organization. So I needed to restructure myself in many ways, and that goes back to even diet, working out, drinking water. Like, all those things make a difference. It's the little 1% improvements, that we can make. And this year was kind of a reset year for me. Like, can I get my faith in the right place? Can I get my nutrition in the right place? Can I get my fitness in the right place? And it's work in progress. But to your question, I had to restructure everything, and I have to block out specific times for different things. So the way I do it is Mondays I split it into two. The first part of the morning, I do insurance because obviously there's a lot of that weekend stuff that I have to take care of. And then the afternoon, then I dedicate a little bit of time to UFA. And Wednesday is similar to that. And Friday, it's kind of a freebie day where I throw in stuff that it's a little bit less structured, like, like today. But Tuesdays and Thursdays is all insurance. Like those are the 2 days that I'm like 100% focused on insurance. But I balance both. And the cool thing is that our soccer office is right next to my insurance office.
Oh, really?
And we have
who chose that?
What's that?
I said, who chose that? Who made that
I don't
decision?
know. I don't know. It just happened. God made it happen. Yeah, and we have 2 full-time employees at UFA now. So a lot of the workload is off my hands, and I'm kind of just directing and leading and coming up with ideas. And I like to get my hands dirty, man. Like I'm not the type if I have to go paint the fields, I'll go paint the fields. If a coach is unable to coach that day and I can help out, I'm going to help out. So I like to stay as involved as I can, but I've also made it a priority to spend a quality time with my family. So if I'm going to go coach, for example, Mondays I coach from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's my longest day. I go home, I work from home from 2 to 5. So I can do 2 things. I can work and spend time with my kids a little bit. Then I come and I try to spend another hour and a half quality time with my kids and my wife. And then on the other days, I adjust it. But I don't sacrifice my family time for business or for UFA. Before I'm anything else, I have to be a husband and a father. And if I don't do those things, if I don't do those 2 roles right, everything else will fail.
That's cool. So then now what's next? Like you take on a lot of stuff, and like you said, you like to have your hands dirty. So any other like big goals that you're trying to accomplish this year going into next year?
Right now it's this is another the reset year, right? My mindset was like, oh, can I start this and this and this and this and that? I just want to focus on the insurance agency right now and get that in a good place, make that grow, bring some people to work with me, and then continue growing UFA. And the big goal is a soccer complex for UFA. We'll see what happens, but that's gonna be like the peak of success when it comes to building something.
That's gonna be so cool to see the big UFA sign on that stadium. And
that's the goal. So that's the big the big goal for me. The legacy that I want to leave behind is how many kids can we impact? How many kids did Jaime impact in the last 30 years? That's the goal for me.
That's awesome. That's powerful, man. So no, I respect you and so much, and I know a lot of the community does, and you're doing so many good things, especially with the youth. And it's just you're already impacting, and I can only imagine how many more lives you're going to impact, because it's not just the kids, it's their parents and their kids and the future generations, right? So thank you. Where can people find you? Where can people reach out to you? Can they reach out to you directly? Can you put out some of those feelers, and also an opportunity for you to mention anyone else who you want to give a shout out to or anything along those lines? Yeah,
I mean, first and foremost, my wife. She is the rock of our family, and without her, I wouldn't be who I am. She motivates me. She keeps me in line. She's very important in my life. My kids are my motivation, and so many people that have been so supportive of our program. We would not be where we are without the coaching staff, without Elsa and now Ozzy coming on board, and those OG coaches that have been with us the whole time. Amilcar has been with us the whole time.
He's a legend.
He's a legend. He's a living legend. Yeah, he's the one that's gonna take over after I retire.
There we go.
Yeah. So there's been so many amazing people. Like if I start going through the list, I'll bore you guys. But so many amazing people that have supported us and supported me and in my business on the insurance side. so many amazing people around, and we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have all those people. But how can people find us? UFAiowa.com. UFAiowa.com. You can find us on Facebook as well. UFA Soccer Academy Des Moines. And if you're in the tri-state area, UFA Sioux City, UFA Soccer Siouxland is what it is. Look us up on Facebook. We're also on Instagram under the same tags. Yeah, so keep an eye out on us. Support our kids. We've got cool things going on.
And what about your insurance business?
Insurance, you guys can contact me directly. 515-554-0889 is my phone number, or you can go to our website, legadoinsurance.com. So LEGADO insurance.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for telling your story and your path and everything you're doing to help the community. Is there any other comments or thoughts you want to leave us with? Actually, let me ask you one more thing. Like we always kind of like to ask a couple last questions, like what's like one or two pieces of advice that you would put out there to, whether it's the youth or the community or anyone who's, just thinking about whether it's starting a soccer academy or insurance business or anything entrepreneurial for that reason. What are those two pieces or 1 to 2 pieces of advice that you would tell to our followers out there?
I would say be on your toes always. Sometimes we get comfortable. We think we're in the best place, but let's remember that things change very quickly. We saw that happen in 2020, didn't we? Yeah. Stay on your toes. Continuously educate yourself. There's so many resources, and right now there's a big shift moving towards AI, and those business owners, like, look into ChatGPT, look into AI. If you're gonna fall behind if you don't start looking at those things. So biggest message is stay on your toes. If you're always on your toes, if you're always learning, you're gonna be all right.
Just like in soccer.
Yeah.
Stay on your toes.
Thank you, Jaime. Appreciate your time, man.
Brother. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
We'll definitely have you. I would love to have you on as a guest as things evolve, and one of these days you'll be on here and you'll be like, 123 Main Street is where our soccer stadium.
Yeah, maybe Failing Adds Up can be a sponsor too.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, us on the front of the jerseys or something.
There you go.
Love it. Thank you so much. And again, just to kind of put it out there to our followers, we're excited that Jaime's our second guest that has the video. So we're hoping to make that.
Told me.
Very consistent and slicing and dicing some short video into putting it out on whether it's TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatnot. The reels, like you said, you got to keep up with technology, right? ChatGPT, now reels are a thing, and all that good stuff. That's why I have the younger generation next to me, Gen Z, to help me figure all that out. Because I'm a millennial and I'm already getting behind the times here.
You're old, man. You're considered old already.
I guess I'm old.
It's crazy. What's the next one? Is like Generation Alpha or something?
Yeah, Generation
Alpha.
Gosh. Right. So, no, having lots of fun. And anything else to end it with, Antonio?
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys once again for tuning into another episode of the Failing Adds Up podcast. Make sure you do like, subscribe, follow us on all our pages. So we're going to be on Instagram and Facebook and then YouTube as well, since you're watching that there. So comment down below any recommendations on either topics, conversations, things that you want Junior and I to talk either with guests or ourselves. And it's going to be Failing Adds Up podcast. That's our @handle for all our social media pages. So make sure you do go follow us there. We're always posting behind the scenes, upcoming guests, coming soon episodes as well, stuff like that. So some exclusive content that you can watch on our Facebook and Instagram pages. As I said, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in with us on this episode of Failing Adds Up. Till next time.